Hello, everyone, and welcome to another vocabulary lesson here at Study English with Us. My name is Frank, and I'll be your instructor for this lesson on vegetables. I want to give a special welcome to students who are joining us from all over the world today for this lesson on vegetables. If you're a new student here at Study English with Us, what we do here is, first of all, run through the terms in a kind of a vocabulary drill. We'll do that twice, and then in the second section of our video, we'll talk about the terms that we're learning, the new words that we're adding to our vocabulary. We'll talk about them in a more conversational way so that you will be able to see how these new words can be used in sentences, as well as a little bit more information about the words themselves. So let's get started with the first section of our video. Asparagus. Asparagus. And what I'm going to do is leave a little bit of space after I say the word to give you an opportunity to repeat after me. It's very important that you verbalize the new words that you're learning so that you can learn how to say them. And just saying them helps you remember them better. So repeat after me. Asparagus. Asparagus. Beetroot. Beetroot. Beet. Beet. Bell pepper. Bell pepper. Broccoli. Broccoli. Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts. Butternut squash. Butternut squash. Cabbage. Cabbage. Carrot. Carrot. Cauliflower. Cauliflower. Cassava. Cassava. Celery. Celery. Chili pepper. Chili pepper. Corn. Corn. Cucumber. Cucumber. Eggplant. Eggplant. Garlic. Garlic. Green bean. Green bean. Lettuce. Lettuce. Iceberg lettuce. Iceberg lettuce. Romaine lettuce. Romaine lettuce. kale, kale, onion, onion, pea, pea, potato, potato, spinach, spinach, kohlrabi, kohlrabi, radish, radish, sprout, sprout, bean, bean, turnip, turnip, sweet potato, sweet potato, yam, yam, ginger, ginger, herb, herb. All right, let's go through them one more time. And this time we'll take the slides full screen so that you can see the images just a little better. Asparagus, asparagus, beetroot, beetroot, beet, beet, bell pepper, bell pepper, broccoli, broccoli, Brussels sprout, Brussels sprout, butternut squash, butternut squash, cabbage, cabbage, carrot, carrot, cauliflower, cauliflower, cassava, cassava, celery, celery, chili pepper, chili pepper, corn, corn, cucumber, cucumber, eggplant, eggplant, garlic, garlic, green bean, green bean, lettuce, lettuce, iceberg lettuce, iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, romaine lettuce, kale, kale, onion, onion, pea, pea, potato, potato, spinach, spinach, kohlrabi, kohlrabi, radish, radish, sprout, sprout, bean, bean, turnip, turnip, sweet potato, sweet potato, yam, yam, ginger, ginger, herb, herb. All right, well, that does it for this section of our lesson where we're just dealing with the vocabulary. When we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about some of these new words that we have learned. So stick around. We'll see you after the break. All right, welcome back, and let's take a look at some of these new terms that we have learned, some of these new words, English words for our vegetables. And I just might say from the outset that more and more people today are learning to become vegetarians and eating primarily vegetables. It used to be that nutritionists would say, oh no, you have to have your meats in your diet, otherwise you won't be able to grow. But we have found that over the years that it is possible to have a good, healthy vegetarian diet where if you eat enough of a variety of vegetables that you can have a balanced nutritional diet just with nuts, fruits, and vegetables, some grains. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Asparagus. I believe the asparagus is actually from the grass family, and it's a very thick, and it actually takes a couple of years in the garden to get growing. But once you get it, it's one of the first things that pops up in the spring, and it's just wonderful to have fresh vegetables here in Canada in May and June. It's one of the first vegetables that we can enjoy every summer. Asparagus. Beetroot. The beetroot is known not only by this term, beetroot, but also in many parts of the world, especially Canada and the United States. It's just more commonly called beet. It's a very sweet vegetable. I tell my children, you should have your beets. It's like eating candy. It's so sweet. And we also find that the leaves of the beet itself are very tasty as well. We will boil up the leaves and just put a little salt, butter, and maybe some mayonnaise on top, and it's so delicious. The beet root and the beet leaves. Bell pepper. Now, this vegetable, because it has the term pepper, might give people the idea that it's very hot, very spicy. But actually, another name for this type of pepper is sweet pepper, because it's not hot or spicy at all. And you can actually cut this up and put it in your salad. Adds nice texture and flavor to your salad. The bell pepper. Broccoli. Broccoli. These are those vegetables that look like little trees. And if you have small children, you can tell them, please eat your trees, because they look like little trees. And they are so good for you. They're just chocked full of vitamins. Brussels sprout. Brussels sprout. Now, as you talk to people about Brussels sprouts, you might find that they say, oh, I find Brussels sprouts to be a little bit too bitter. And so often they'll say, no, thank you, when you offer them Brussels sprouts. And it is true that if you just boil them, they will be a little bit bitter to the taste. But if you fry them up in a frying pan with a little butter, perhaps some garlic, you'll find that it somehow is taking that bitter taste away, and it's just a wonderful dish. After you've had it like that, you'll always be wanting to pick up some more Brussels sprouts at the store. Brussels sprout. Give it a try. Butternut squash. Butternut squash. TK makes a wonderful soup out of butternut squash. Cabbage. Cabbage. Something that you can eat raw, put into your salad. You can cook it up. And some people even ferment it and use it in all sorts of different dishes. It kind of preserves the cabbage over the wintertime, and then you can make many dishes with that preserved or fermented cabbage. You probably have heard of kimchi that the Koreans make. Well, this is fermented cabbage. Carrot. Carrot. Perhaps one of our favorite vegetables. You can just cut them up and put them in your lunch, and they're a real nice tasty snack at lunchtime at work. Or you can put them in salads. You can cook them, serve them that way. There's so many different ways you can enjoy carrots. Cauliflower. Cauliflower. Cassava. Cassava. This is a hardy plant that is grown in many parts of the world that I visit. There's two types of cassava you should know about, and that is often referred to as the sweet cassava. And the other type of cassava, I'm not sure how it's referred to, but you have to be careful how you process that type of cassava. Otherwise, it can be very poisonous to people who eat it. And so it has to be processed in a very certain way in order for it to be safe to eat. Cassava. If you're going to try it, make sure it's the sweet cassava so you have no danger of being killed by eating this food, eating this root. Celery. Celery. So many different ways that you can use celery. Chili pepper. Now, here is the pepper that is hot. So you don't often see people just eating chili peppers raw because it's just usually too hot to eat that way. But you find if you chop them up and add them to your cooking, like maybe you're making some soup and you want to have a little bit of warmth on a cold winter's day, you might chop some pepper into that soup. There's many different ways that you can use pepper to add spice to your foods. Corn. Corn. We always look forward to the summertime, usually here in Canada about late June, early July, where we can have that first corn on the cob meal. We'll buy a whole dozen, boil them up, and have a corn feed with this wonderful corn on the cob. Cucumber. Cucumber. The small ones people make pickles out of and enjoy them through the winter, but otherwise they're just eaten raw or added to salads. The cucumber. Eggplant. Eggplant is a favorite food for vegetarians. If you cook it in just the right way, it's a nice substitute for a meat dish. Garlic. Garlic. It adds a nice flavor and a very nice smell throughout the whole house as you saute the garlic. Green bean. This is a nice long plant that grows very easily in our gardens here in Canada. And we always enjoy going out and picking beans. The season lasts very long. You can start getting your first beans in June and still be picking beans all the way through September. And so it's a very nice plant that can provide you with good nutrients all summer long. The lettuce. The lettuce, as you can see, grows in many different varieties and colors and can add a lovely look to your salads as you make them. Iceberg lettuce. We've never really tried growing this in our garden, but it is something that we pick up at the store, the supermarket, to add to our salads, especially through the winter. Romaine lettuce is another type of lettuce that you can use to make salads or add to your sandwich. Kale. Kale comes in a variety of shapes and colors as well. It's very nutritious, and it's become a very trendy vegetable here in the last few years in Canada and the United States. Kale. Onions can come again in very many different colors and flavors. Some are sweet, some have a little sharp bitterness to them, but they do add a lot of flavor to many different recipes that you might be baking or frying up. It's just, we have a bag of onions on our cupboard all the time because we just use it in so many different ways. The onion. Pea. In our garden, we have 2 nice big rows of peas where we actually build a big fence for them to climb up on. And so we really enjoy that time of year when the peas are on. They're one of the first vegetables that we plant in our garden in the spring. We can plant them even the 1st of May here in Canada. The pea, very sweet. Potato. This is one of my favorite vegetables. In fact, wherever I go, wherever I travel, I look for potatoes. And oftentimes when I'm traveling in remote regions of Southeast Asia, it's very difficult to find potato. Usually the only things that are available at the restaurants or hotels that I stay at are rice dishes. And so for breakfast or lunch or supper, I go and I look inside the cooking container that's keeping things warm, and I'm hoping to open it and see potatoes, but then I open it and I see, oh, it's another rice dish. And so sometimes if I'm staying at a hotel long enough in Cambodia or Thailand, I will actually go and talk to the cook and show her how to make potatoes so that I can enjoy potatoes while I'm staying at that hotel. I make a dish called hash brown deluxe. And maybe one of these days for one of our lessons, I'll have to show you how I make hash brown deluxe with potatoes and a few other ingredients. Spinach. This is one of those leafy vegetables that contains a lot of vitamins and nutrients, a lot of iron in spinach. And it's a good way to get your daily source of vitamins and iron. Kohlrabi. TK likes this vegetable. She puts it in her pho. Radish. The radish has a nice, sharp, sometimes bitter taste that you can chop up and put in your salad that adds a little zest to your salad. I really like putting radishes in my salad. And a lot of people like to grow sprouts. Like you can see some bean sprouts here. There might be some sprouts from lentils there. So many different things that you can grow, and they sprout up. And after just a few days, you can add them to any dish that you want, really. They go good in salads and soups, so many different ways. You can put them in a sandwich, and it's a good way to get nutrition during the cold winter months here in Canada. When we can't grow in our garden, we can at least grow sprouts. Beans. You can see from the photograph that there are many different varieties of beans that you can grow. And if you let them harden in their shells, is a type of vegetable that you can preserve for a very long time, because you're really preserving the seeds, and the seeds can last a very long time. And then when you want to cook them, you soak them in water overnight, and it kind of softens up the shell of the seed of the bean, and then you can cook them in soups or different ways. And I like to make a soup that uses 5 different varieties of beans. I call it my 5-bean soup. That's another one that I'm going to have to maybe do a lesson on sometime and show you how I make my 5-bean soup. The turnip. Turnip. Many different shapes and varieties of turnip I've seen all over the world. Sweet potato. Now, this type of potato in Canada and the United States is also called a yam. So you could go to the store and see yams in the bin, and if you brought them home, you would actually be bringing home a sweet potato. And this is a type of potato that children especially like because they are so sweet. The ginger. Again, this probably isn't a vegetable that you would just kind of snack on because it's got quite a strong taste, but it is nice to add ginger to many different meals that you might be cooking or drinks that you might be making. TK makes a wonderful apple cider with ginger inside, and it is very tasty. Warms my heart on a cold winter's night here in Canada. Ginger. Herbs. Some of the countries that I go and film in, working for ADRA, I will be talking about their nutrition and their diet. And they will show me the herbs that they are gathering from the jungle or just from their backyard. And often they will just call this vegetables. And the first time I talked to people and they told me, I'm going to go pick some vegetables. So I'm waiting there for them to show me their vegetables, and all they come back with is a basket full of herbs and leaves. And I was a little surprised because when they said vegetables, I was thinking potatoes and beets, carrots, and these types of things. But a lot of people, when they talk about vegetables, they are talking just about leaves, leafy vegetables. We would call them leafy vegetables, as opposed to root vegetables. Root vegetables. And so when you talk about vegetables, you might have in your mind a lot of root type of vegetables, and other people, when they talk about vegetables, they're thinking more in terms of leaves and greens and herbs like we have here. All right, well, I believe that does it for this section of our lesson where we're talking about the names of the vegetables. Let me know in the comments below if there is a favorite vegetable that you have that we forgot to include in our lesson today. I'd be happy, very interested to know some of the vegetables that you enjoy that we did not include in our lesson today. Just going through this lesson now, I realized that there was one that got dropped out, and so maybe I'll add it right now. It is the watercress. That is what we call it here in Canada and the United States, the watercress. TK from Vietnam, my wife, knows it as morning glory. At least that's the English name that she learned for this vegetable, the morning glory. It's a very popular vegetable, a leafy vegetable that grows in water. I've seen many people growing it near the edge of lakes there in Vietnam and Cambodia. And it is a favorite vegetable over there. So morning glory or watercress. And so there you have it, the one that I missed. Let me know if there's others that you enjoy eating that I have also missed. If you have found this lesson helpful, please share it with your friends who are also learning English, or maybe you can just encourage them to start learning English. It's a very valuable tool to have. And we would love to see your friends join up here at Study English with us. Like it, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel here at Study English with us. So long for now.